So today what I want to talk about ultimately is stress management. Most of society is living in what we call survival mode. When you are living stressed out, it is not a time to create. It is not a time to change areas in your life. It's not a time to become healthier and wealthier and abundant because you are just trying to get by, right? It's like you're treading water, trying to keep your head afloat. So what I want to share with you is if you don't learn to manage stress, if you don't learn to master your mind, master your emotions, it's going to master you. All right. So again, the stress management idea is that when you're living in a state of survival, it is not a time to create change in your life. And so I'd love to hear from you right here, right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're on complete burnout, you're not sleeping at night, you're anxious, you're worried, stressed out all the time, or a 1, you're like a monk in the Himalayas. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your current stress level? I would love to hear from you. Please comment below. And what I want to share with you is this, that if you don't learn to manage stress, here are the side effects. Obviously, burnout. It creates chronic dis-ease and illness, high blood pressure, a weakened immune system, and it can lead to things like cancer. So we have people saying a 6, so middle of the road, but verging on that higher end, a 2, good for you, an 8, a 10. I think that's pretty normal. And what I want to share with you is I also used to live pretty stressed out, but think about it. Our culture, our society glorifies stress, right? Hustle and grind mentality. Like we have taken on this conditioned belief, a program. That's why I always talk about the subconscious mind. You've got to understand the program because it's creating your reality. But we have this conditioned belief, this program that you have to hustle and grind. You have to prove your worth. You have to work hard to earn money. Here's another one, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I had an 18-hour day. I'm working 80-hour weeks. We're like trying to one up each other on how stressed out we can be. Stop glorifying stress, okay? And ultimately, here's what I want to share with you. I was watching a new docuseries with Chris Hemsworth. If you don't know him, he's an Australian actor. But Chris Hemsworth has this new docuseries, and because he's at a point in his life, total burnout, not sleeping at night, waking up in the middle of the night. He said 2:30 in the morning, mind racing, heart beating, and that is all stress. He's a father, he's a husband, he has 3 little ones, and he's at a point that he wants to take care of himself so he can have longevity, right? So he can be around for those that he loves. So what I want to help you do is, number one, you've got to get stress under control. And so in this docuseries, the one I watched last night, he was put into very stressful situations and given tools and techniques to self-soothe. This really does come down to self-mastery. You've got to learn positive self-talk. You've got to learn breath work. And this is what I teach deep dive in my monthly program, Unlimited. So if you want to learn more about this and actually get the tools and the techniques on how to do the breath work, I call it power of the pause, on how to create mindfulness and intentional techniques so stress doesn't keep ruling your life, I invite you to join us in Unlimited or to work with me one-on-one, because this is exactly what I teach. This really does come down to self-mastery. And so what I want to hear from you all is, what is stressing you out? Is it work? Is it family? Is it finances? Where is the stress coming from? Because what happens to many of us is we get in this state of autopilot, right? We're going through life's motions. Traffic stresses you out. An email can stress you out. And we're living in this constant fight or flight mentality. Your brain is not set up for that. That's why it creates a weakened immune system and chronic illness and dis-ease. We are built for fight or flight, survival mode. We can take short terms of stress, right? If you're being chased, if you need to, we're built for that. But what happens is we're living in a constant state of stressed out in that survival mode, and much of it is thought alone, right? What is anxiety and worry? It's thoughts, it's hypotheticals, it's worrying about what could happen, what might happen. And so thought alone, imagination. Here's an example I want to share with you. In this docuseries, prime example, Chris had to put on a headset, a virtual reality headset of a imagined, because it was virtual, right? Virtual reality, an imagined stress. So he's on this platform in the virtual reality, a crane like 900 feet above, having to walk out. But in real life, the platform, he's just walking on a cement floor. There's nothing to fear, nothing to be afraid of. So he put on the virtual reality headset, and because it was imagined, you can literally do this and close your eyes. He imagined the stressful situation. He had increase in heart, shallow breathing, and he was fearful and worried, and it wasn't even real. And that's what happens to most of us, right? We create stress, imagined or real, but we're living in this state. And here's the thing, when you stay in this constant state of stress and survival, it's going to lead to health effects. That's just what's going to happen. It can lead to financial turmoil, obviously physical and mental health, strain on your relationships. I'm sure many of you know that. If you're completely stressed out at work and you're taking that home with you, then you're creating stress at home too. And so again, it's this vicious cycle, repetitive in nature. I'd love to hear from you. Is this making sense? Do you find yourself here? Is your sleep being affected? Are you finding yourself in constant feelings of anxiety and worry? I'd love to hear where you at. And again, what area of life is creating all of this stress? But again, you guys are sharing your stress levels are 6, 10, 8, 10. And we're getting in, oh yeah, yes, this is resonating. So I'd love to know more. Where are you stressed out? How can I help? Because ultimately, life comes down to, that's why I say, it's building the mindset muscle. You have to learn to be proactive, not constantly reactive in your life, because stress is a reactive, right? It's a knee-jerk reaction. But if you're living and you're proactive, if you're self-care, if you're taking care of yourself every single morning, I take care of me, I do me, because you can't pour from an empty cup. Then I take on my day. Those are non-negotiables for me. And to be honest, I don't have a lot of stress anymore, because I understand and have experienced all stress is self-imposed. Is it a boundary issue? Do you need to learn how to say no? You take on too much? Do you not have clarity? Are you overwhelmed? What is creating the stress in your life? I'll share with you something that happened to me this week on where I found myself in a stressful situation. It was thought provoked. So I had this thought, I latched onto that thought. I teach this in the thought cycle. Our thoughts create our emotions and feelings, which lead to the actions or inactions you take, and is creating every result in your life. So when you reverse engineer the thought cycle, you realize everything stems from thought. So that's what happened. I latched onto this thought. I'm creating emotions, fear-based, which created, kind of that fight or flight. But for me, it was more of a freeze mentality. I felt frozen. I felt lost. I was like, what do I do from here? So here's what I did. I stopped the momentum. I literally took a nap. I took my dog for a walk, and then I had a dance party. Emotions are energy in motion. They want to be moved. A lot of times you'll find yourself when you're stressed out, if you're sitting down, if you're at work, get it moving. That's maybe kickboxing. I love running. It gets me present. It gets me a clear head, but I got it moving. And then, so that little stressed out period only lasted a short time. I was able to calm my mind. This is self-soothing techniques that I teach. Again, I invite you to join us in Unlimited. And I was able to go back to a clear head. Then you can create, then you can take action. But if you take action from that stressed out reactive state, you're going to create more of the same, right? Like if you have one bad thing in the morning and you don't take care of it, then it tends to turn into a bad day, right? You don't have a bad life. You had a bad moment. This is so much self-awareness. It's self-soothing. It's positive self-talk. It's being observant. It's asking yourself better questions, asking for help. You know, we're not meant to do all of this alone. So Jessica shared her stress is coming from work. And I think most of it does for us, right? Like that's where we spend most of our time. And here's Jessica, here's what I would offer you. If you're overwhelmed, you're stressed out at work, have you taken on too much? Do you not have clarity? Do you have overwhelm? And this is something I share often, a 3-step process when you're feeling overwhelmed, because a lot of people talk about time management. Time management is not your problem, it's a symptom. So here's a 3-step process. When you're feeling overwhelmed, unclear, taking on too much, pause. What can you automate? What can you delegate? And what can you eliminate? You need to be able to ask for help. But Jessica, if you want to share something specifically where you're totally stressed out, or did that help? Being able to automate, delegate, and eliminate. Because when you can get out of a space of survival mode, treading water, head above water, and get that life raft, right? The different mindful and intentional practices, then you can get into a state of living proactive. Then you are in a space of being able to be clear-minded, present, and change, right? That's when you can change your finances, change your physical and mental health. Somebody is saying, love the ask for help. How might you manage when the same stress source keeps resurfacing? All right, so that's what I call a trigger. We'll talk about that. You have tried several options to creatively address the perceived conflicts, but they return. Okay. Well, this is a little bit hypothetical. I'd love if you could provide a little more specific detail, but here's the thing. So this person is ultimately saying they keep getting triggered. Again, this would help if I have more detail than a hypothetical. But a trigger means you have a trapped emotion, something you haven't dealt with, right? If you have a repeating cycle of something, that means you haven't learned the lesson or something is suppressed, something is coming up. So you've tried, okay, so here's what's coming to mind. Again, conditioning and programming, we seek externally, right? We're trying to change the external. It's an inside job. So I'm willing to bet if you learn some mindful and intentional techniques and practices, breathwork's an easy one that you can do anywhere. Driving in traffic, at work, it doesn't matter. On a plane. Fix the inside, and I promise you the external reflects that. Again, if you want to share a specific example, but ultimately trying creatively, it's still symptomatic. It's like what I call you're mowing the weeds. I teach people how to pull the weeds and plant new seeds. Stop dealing with the symptoms, right? Stop band-aiding the problem. Deal with the root cause, and you'll no longer have the problem. Jessica is sharing, yes, organization is something I'm working on, and I have a hard time delegating. Trusting team members. Okay, that's huge. And thank you for sharing. I also used to be in that space, right? Nobody could do it like me. Only I could do it the right way. And then I got out of my own way. First of all, I kind of think that's arrogant that nobody else could do it as good as you. And I had a team for a reason. I used to be a manager of many people. So I learned I needed to get that stress off my plate because it didn't feel good. For me, stress is very tight in the chest, shallow breathing, and it's self-imposed, right? I learned to trust my admins. I gave them tasks, give them little tasks, right? We're adults here. Give people tasks, build that trust. Maybe you need to be a better communicator on expectations, but you've got to be a good manager. A good leader is somebody that can communicate expectations, mentor people, show people how to empower and build the whole team, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link, and that's totally up to you. So I would just offer, be okay giving things away. Things are going to get messed up. That's how we all learn, and that's okay, right? Fail forward. Don't be afraid of failure. I love the acronym FIRST ATTEMPT in learning. It's okay. Like, we'll do better next time. Also, on that note, I love the idea of organization. Again, this is a Marie Kondo thing I did like 4 years ago. But I want to offer you this. If you have a lot of mental chaos, a lot of stress in your mind, take a look in your environment. I did this recently with a client of mine, and I just straight asked him, because so stressed out, mental chaos, like I could just feel his energy. So I asked him, I was like, what does your office look like? And he showed me, and I was like, yeah, that would stress me the fuck out too. And so what I told him, what he had to do in between our next session was take some time, maybe an hour, maybe two, whatever it takes. You need to create organization in your external. Your external environment is a reflection of your internal state. So the external was reflecting how stressed out, how disorganized he was, which was creating so much internal chaos. And guess what? Our next call, he was so proud, showed me his clean and organized office. And he had clarity. He was able to prioritize tasks. He was able to let things go. And you literally, it opens up the energy. It's going to change the energy. Same thing with your car, right? You ever gotten in somebody's car that's totally messy and you're like, oh, this is gross. And you just kind of feel stuffy? That person's probably living in a lot of mental chaos. I have a very clean car. I have a very organized home because it creates less stress for me, but that's very intentional practice. Okay, so Jessica is expanding. It's not that I don't think they are capable, but trusting them in the past has cost me relationships I worked hard for. More like, okay, PTSD, big on my reputation. All right. So, Jessica, here's what I would offer you. Ultimately, this comes down to a limiting belief. You have a lot of stress and stuff hanging around my reputation. And it just to me sounds like you're giving your power away. If this is something you'd like to deep dive and work with me one-on-one privately to like really up level this, you can visit my website, heatherhakes.com. But I think this is something much more personal that we could do on a call rather than just this live stream. So I'd like to offer you that. But ultimately, just know that life is always happening for you. I love how Peter Crone says that people and circumstances come into our life to reveal where we're not healed. So it's total personal responsibility, taking responsibility for your life, for your actions, and empowering yourself. When you change the inside, the external reflects that. And Martin is saying, agree. Thank you. You know, this idea of chronic stress, let's no longer glorify it, right? Let's glorify peace, calm, ease, flow. That is also what's possible for you. But you've got to choose to have mindful and intentional daily practices. Look, stress is part of life, right? But it's how you approach it, it's how you deal with it that will affect your internal. People come to me, stress, anxiety, mental and physical health. They want change in their life, but you're so caught in the weeds. Somebody from the outside can see more clearly and help walk you through that. I love empowering and inspiring people because I want you to know that you are the creator of your life. And this life, this human experience can be anything you make it. So let's stop living stressed out. Roger, I'm not going to leave you hanging, so hold on. Work is from stress mainly. I'm in sales and taking care of my customers is a high priority for me. Our customer service is not very good, and customers call me for help when they have an order issue. This sounds like a delegation problem. It sounds like the company needs better systems in place. You can't wear all the hats, Roger, right? But I know I'm a solopreneur. I wear a ton of hats, but I've also learned to delegate. And now I have a tech team and I have help. So because I can't do it all. I can't do it all well. So he's going on to say, which by the time my customer gets me involved, yeah, then shit hit the fan, right? Additionally, I have several metrics I have to meet each month. Trying to solve problems for customers takes time away from entering call. Yes, okay. This cycle caused a tremendous amount of stress. I bet it does. So again, to me, it sounds like a delegation problem. What can you guys automate? You need to get better systems in place at work so you can do what you do best, which is taking care of your customers and selling. And you need a better support team to take care of behind the scenes, maybe entering the reports, whatever it is. So I would just offer, what can you automate, delegate, and eliminate from your plate so you can do what you do best, so you can do what you're paid for? Martin is sharing inner peace is key. We are all creators of our world, 100%. Roger said, thank you so much. Yes.